All right, guys. Welcome to the recap for week 8. It is me, Walter Hudson, along with my guy, man of the peoples, Mr. Peoples. How you doing?
Doing good, my brother. Another year around the sun.
Man,
Good to
happy
be.
birthday to Mr. Cortez
Appreciate it.
People, everybody. I'm the only one in the studio audience, so I'm going to give him a hand clap for doing this on his birthday. Much appreciated. Happy
Most
birthday, Mr.
definitely.
Peoples. How young are you today, Mr. Peoples?
30 years young, man.
Man, dirty 30, man. Congratulations, seeing 30. Beautiful family, beautiful kids. Great what you do for the community and the kids in the community. Happy birthday to you and appreciate you much, man.
Appreciate it.
But
Thank you.
without further ado, we'll get into the 12 p.m. game, which is also your game, coach of the Heat. The Celtics versus
Mm-hmm.
the Heat. No Ryan K. lost this game, but the Celtics
Mm-hmm.
end up pulling it out, 64-53. Um, tell me your thoughts on this game.
I mean, ah, well, start with the Celtics. I mean, let me look at the stats real quick. I mean, Rashawn was definitely able to get to his spots, what he needed to do. Um, and honestly, they capitalized on the the lack thereof of the Heat at in this game. Um, but Heat are just too. I would say they well, some feel as though that they're winning a big prize right now. Like, growing up when you on a team, like sometimes you got to go through the trenches before you can actually get out of the trenches and be able to be successful. And it's like sometimes players don't want to go through things and make it out of it. And it's just Boston capitalized on a lot of mistakes that the, that the Heat did or that we did, and Vashawn just hit some big shots at the right moment and was able to close the game out.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the Heat didn't have enough firepower for this game. Um, Trey Anthony shooting 4 for 12 can't happen. Sean Nord only taking 3 shots. He has to get more involved in the offense to be more aggressive. And then when he does get those shots, he can't miss them. He's missed a few bunnies this year, but he's better. He's better than that. Jallman went 5 for 17 as well. Took a lot of shots early. Miko 7 for 14, did pretty good, 20 points. With 9 rebounds attached to that, 2 blocks and a steal. Miko playing a really good game. Trey Anthony, I still think he can be a slight candidate for defensive player of the year because he's been rebounding the ball. He had 2 blocks and 3 steals this game. So um, I think that his play, like without the shooting, like if was was pivotal in this game to keep them in it. He was hustling. He was all over the place. This game. I think that he played hard. They just didn't have enough firepower.
Yeah.
Also, I saw too much 2-man ball from Miko and Jallman, the brothers.
Mm-hmm.
It was and I don't mind it because being coach of the Grizzlies, we have Chris White and Chad White, so we know they give each other the ball. But it's like we want that because we understand that when you have chemistry somewhere like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, you can say you got to play off of the guys that play well, but those guys have to let people in on it. You know, um,
Right.
they can't just do it and expect to win games just by themselves. They were just at open
Right.
gym and they were running the gym, but those games are only that to 6 and 7. You can get 7 points quick. You know what I'm saying? You can go on a quick run, but can you win a game?
Right.
That's the biggest thing for Miko and Jallman for me. I think that they're very talented. I think that they cause a lot of pressure on other teams' defenses. Absolutely, especially Miko with his shooting and Jallman with his ability to penetrate and get to the free throw line. But I think that Darian Bosby is not being used like he should be at all. Because I think my personal perspective, I think he's the best player on this team. Um, that's how I feel. I think he's the best. I mean, maybe Miko because he's a little bigger and can guard bigger players. But like, I don't think anybody has a better IQ for the game and a better touch and a better, just understanding the game than Bosby. And he needs to be a little more in the driver's seat. But shout out to Vashawn Sims. He had a great game, especially shooting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Took a decent amount of jump shots, 2 for 4 from three, a lot of step back middies. He did what he had to do. That's That's pretty much all I got to say. They had no Ryan Kavos, so he had to be aggressive. His teammates were a bit frustrated visually. I can say, um, just a little bit. I don't think that they felt like he was playing um, selfless basketball at times. But I mean, the numbers kind of speak for themselves. He had 31 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists. He had 4 turnovers. I think that might have been, where the frustration came in. But I mean, he had to have the ball for most of the game with no Kavos. Andrade was nice in this game with 13 points and 9 rebounds, and J.K. Vaughn had 10 rebounds. So they out rebounded the Heat 33-28, which gives them more possessions. They took only one more shot than the Heat, but made 5 more. So
Right.
I think this game was totally winnable for the Heat. It was so winnable with no Kavos. But yeah, the Heat just have to find a way to get over the hump and learn how to play with each other. And I still think that Jallman and Miko need to do what they're doing because it's working, but they just have to let everybody else in on that. And I think they'll be fine. I can see them upsetting somebody, like if they get it together. I don't see, I see flashes, but they were breaking that zone apart early. My guy, I saw it. They broke that zone apart early, and you all had to fall in man, and that's when it kind of Rashawn started kind of taking over.
Well, with that, they hit 2 threes back to back. But see, when your backside isn't getting out on shooter, of course, you could get a shot up and make it. So I won't really call it like breaking the zone down because I would see if we was actually playing defense and he got on the shooter and just knocked down the 3 in his face. He was wide open twice.
Yeah, he was wide
And
open.
knocked
Yeah,
down the
nobody
3.
closed.
So if the zone is played correctly, then we wouldn't have that problem. But yeah, I mean, but at the same time, yes, I am the coach, but I still let them because if they have to live with decisions that they make as well. If they say, well, let's go back to man. Hey, you sure? Like, because you got to understand a couple of things. Like, you only got 6 people on this bench. So you go to man, and they did pretty good. They actually surprised me.
They did pretty well,
Like,
in man. Yeah.
Yeah, they did pretty well against this team, playing man to man. So I mean, that's a bonus. Um, but all games aren't going to be like that. So, but yeah, that's it.
For sure. And we will move on to the 1 p.m. game. And that game was the Grizzlies and the Thunder. Grizzlies take this one away, winning the game 78-48. Pretty much dominant on both halves for the Grizzlies. Second half was a lot more dominant. Game was stopped 2 minutes and 35 seconds remaining. This game was a little interesting from my perspective, being the coach of the Grizzlies. Jeremiah Mitchell wasn't playing well to start the game. Missing a lot of gimmies. And then I talked to him after the game and he told me, he was like, man, it was like, he said the pace of the game was just so awkward because he's a high energy guy, but the other teams was not giving him a reason to give them that energy. He said, he was like, they were playing real lackadaisical. I felt like I didn't have to go up as hard and I was missing because of it. But he ended up having a better second half, ended up putting in 14 points and 10 rebounds. Jamario Brown was the story of the whole game. 20 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, had a steal and a block. He didn't get out the entire game. He balled out. He was everywhere he needed to be, making the right play. 1 for 2 from 3, 9 for 16 from the field, hit his free throw. Chad White sat for majority of the game. And like I was explaining in previous week, Chad knows how to play with everybody because he picked this team. Chad is the one that I had go out and recruit a team for this season. And he knows how to play with each individual player and he knows how to like put the pieces together. But he wants us to know how to play with one another. And he wanted to see what it looked like. Because we're going into the Warriors game next week and we have to be on our P's and Q's and understand subs, rotations, and who to be out there with. So this was a very good game for the Grizzlies all around. To be dominant in a win with your reserves and still learning about yourself. The Thunder, Brayshawn Thomas just had a tough day. He had a tough day. I can't even he didn't necessarily even have a bad game outside of the turnovers. He had a lot of turnovers, but 4 for 17, most of the layups that he were taking was just, they were in and out like barely falling out of the rim, softest touch, but rolling 3 or 4 times around and falling out like three. Like he just had a tough break at the rim. He couldn't get anything to fall. The game would have probably been a little more competitive had a lot of those layups he had went in, but he had 12 rebounds and 5 steals and a block to go along with it. So he was giving it all he had. And then you had CJ Link with 16 points. Gave us most of that in the second half. And that's when Jeremiah said, okay, CJ, he's scoring. He's giving me something. Let me amp it up a little bit. And he started playing a little better in the second half. I think that, I think this game was a very, very interesting game. Very interesting. A lot to learn from it. How do you feel, Mr. Peoples?
OKC, man, they just at certain points, like I'm like, maybe they showing promise. And then it's like a switch happened, and then they just turn into I don't even know, like just a horrible team. Like, and it's like when they start doing bad stuff, they don't try to fix it. They get even worse sometimes. And like I don't understand. Like they have so much talent on that team.
So
And
much.
it's like they don't know how to play together. Like, so I really don't know much to say about the Thunder. I'm disappointed because they have so much talent, so many ball players over there that they can't bring it together and do something good. With Memphis, I mean, Memphis did what they were supposed to do. Um, they shot the ball well. Definitely. And it was good to see you guys on the floor without Chris and Chad, because like it was interesting because you never really see that a lot, and I actually like it. The ball moves a lot more. Not saying when they on the floor the ball doesn't move, but with that group on the floor, it moved pretty good. Y'all got to the open man, things like that. Y'all played good defense. So, like, I mean, that's a good sign in the right direction as the seasons go along. So, I mean, I feel like Memphis did what they had to do.
Yeah, this was a very, very, yeah, they didn't have Keyshawn Williams. They didn't have the person I was game planning was Antoine Peterson. Like I had him in the game plan and I didn't see him and I was like, okay, it just opened up everything for me because he was probably the only hope they had as far as rebounding the ball and stopping shots at the rim. They didn't have any rim protection this game and they didn't rebound the ball well at all. And then with the Grizzlies' new additions, Daryl and Jeremiah, those guys gave us 18 rebounds put together. So it's like, that adds that rebounding aspect that the Grizzlies didn't have in the first 4 weeks of the season. So it's very interesting. Like I said, this game taught us a lot about both teams actually. The Thunder just have to not quit. They have to not quit. Even Marcel showed up and went 3 for 5 and had 3 rebounds. You know what I mean? Like had 7 points.
That's the comment I wanted to make. Like, I had never heard them talk. And this is when they was actually doing good on the floor. They was talking because of Marcel. Like Marcel was like talking on the floor and trying to make them talk on defense and things of that nature. Like
absolutely.
Like they need more Marcel on their team. As vocal and things of that nature. I mean, Marcel can play as well. But he's not as athletic as all the rest of them. But his IQ, his will to play, his communication on the floor can be very, very beneficial. And if the athletic ones that's still athletic at this moment will piggyback off of what Marcel does, they could have more success. But I just don't see it happening, man. I think they done with their season. Like they just going through motions now.
Their winnable games were earlier in the season.
Yeah.
Like they had a tough schedule to start. I'll be honest. I mean, so did the Grizzlies. We're 3-5, so I can't. You know, our record is we were just 2-5 before this game. So, you know, being humble, knowing you can get beat every night, we wanted to take this thing as serious as we possibly could, and it shows. Like we didn't want to lose. If we couldn't, we can't lose any more games. Just like the Thunder really can't lose any more games going into the playoffs. They have to have some type of momentum. They got to get it together. They can't turn the ball over. They cannot turn the ball over. And they had 16 turnovers. So we had 12. The Grizzlies had 12. So that's too much.
Yeah.
And Wally Watson had 10 assists, 6 rebounds with no turnovers. Great game for Wally Watson. I'll take that from him. But now we know what we're getting from Wally now. In a game where he could have had 30, we know what he wants to do. So now we know how to play with Wally. This was a great game. This was a great game for the Grizzlies just to understand themselves. To go out there and get some real shots up and play our game. And didn't want to mention this, but I was able to come off the bench and pretty much do whatever it is I wanted to do. Had 26 on 10 for 15 shooting. All 4 threes went down. So what Wally was creating, what Brown was creating, you know, they were able to get other guys going as long as we were confident to take the shot. And if we can insert Chris and Chad into that lineup with this ball movement and the confidence that we had this game, I don't see the Grizzlies losing to many teams. Not any team, honestly. But we'll go on to the next game. We have what the game of the week was, and that was the Bucks versus the Warriors. This was a good game. Wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. My prediction did come true. Warriors did win this game, but the Bucks did have the Warriors worried at one point in this game. I believe they were up at the half by 25-14. And then the Warriors scored 40 in the second half to 34 of the Bucks. Both teams amped it up, but the Warriors just did a little more. For the Bucks, Brian Hernandez had 18 points on 8 for 11 shooting with 4 rebounds. He didn't have any assists this game. That was different for Brian. But outside of that, nobody else cracked double digits. Barry Golden had an uncharacteristic game, 4 for 9 shooting, 9.7 rebounds. He had one turn. He was getting so mad at himself. He missed a lot of his free throws. He was 1 for 6 from the free throw line. He was very visibly frustrated. I think that took him out of the game. But Kwani Blackman, I can't say too much more about Kwani Blackman. What he is to this Warriors team, he is the like dark horse of this team. Like he is the guy that when nobody's gonna get it going, he has the capability of doing it with his playmaking, his defense, his scoring ability, his finishing at the rim, making free throws. Like Kwani Blackman is just literally like the Swiss Army knife. You know how we used to talk about for the Spurs, Marty Bockwell. How Marty was for the Spurs. It's like Marty on roids. Like, hey, Marty give you one of everything before he leaves the game. Kwani gonna give you everything, and that's exactly what he did. In the second half, he came up to me and said, "Walt, I'm going for 25 this half." And I'm like, hey, go ahead and do it. He didn't get 25 at half, but he made his first 4 shots, and then got an assist, got a block, got a turnover, and brought the Warriors back into this game. And I was like, this is crazy because you worried about Tyree, you worried about Latrell, you worried about Antonio Marshall, but then you got Kwani Blackman, who's out here who led them in scoring with 20 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. Didn't have any turnovers and any fouls, and he had 3 steals. That is a perfect game for Kwani. I don't think he could have played much better. He only took 11 shots as well and had 20 points. So I think KB did a really good job this game. I think he was the unsung hero. Tyree couldn't get his shot falling like he wanted to. 5 for 17 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. And he had 4 steals. But the pressure he puts on the defense just with his shooting ability and his scoring ability alone allows a lot to happen for this team. So, you know, when your best players are going 5 for 17, and then Otis Houston going 4 for 12, then you got Antonio Marshall going 5 for 13. You got Kwani Blackman 8 for 11. Like that's what makes this team so tough to beat. That was pretty much it. And Barrick having a bad game also allowed the Warriors to kind of tap in because if he has a better game, I think the Bucks win. How you feel?
I didn't see this game at all.
You had to eat.
And rest.
Yeah, I know you was up early with the kids.
But from what I heard, I mean, like it was a good game, and it's not like the Warriors just made more plays. than the Bucks did, and I mean that's definitely a playoff game, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
looking forward to how that comes all together when the playoff time come around. Cause that definitely could go the opposite way next time, and it can still go the same way. So I mean, I'm excited to see what's going to happen in April.
I'm absolutely playoffs is gonna be very fun.
Right, over there.
All right. And then for our next game, which is our 3 o'clock game, we had this game could have been game of the week as well. It was such a good game. The Spurs versus the Lakers. Lakers end up winning this game 79-73. Lakers win the first half 35-33, win the second half 44-40. Both teams amped it up, but Lakers just did more. Um, I'm gonna let you start off with this game. Did you watch it? Did you see
it? Yeah, I saw it.
Okay. What did you take away from this game?
Let me see the stats real quick.
It's man. This was a game. Look at the numbers. This was a game.
Man, yeah, good game too.
This was a game.
What killed what killed the Spurs, right? It was the turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
What killed the Spurs was the turnovers, and they missed a few layups. Too. I mean, I think they played pretty well. It's just the Lakers came out on a tear. Jay Jr. had it. So like even though he had what is that 8 points is when he scored in the game made a difference. And Quill Marshall's his energy, like
Quill was amazing.
His energy in that game was like infectious. Like he
it was
made
early.
Mm-hmm. And then Terrell was Terrell. I mean, Terrell of old, and he played really well. And Tone played really. I mean, not really well, but he played efficiently to what the game was giving him.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, this could definitely be another playoff game.
I would love to see these two teams in the playoffs.
Oh yeah. So like I said, like the Spurs they had a few more turnovers. I believe the Lakers had everybody, and Spurs is missing G Davis. But you know, at the same time, they still had Ben Green and
Chris, and they had Chris
and Chris. So like the Lakers are just clicking, man, and they're capable of doing that. And I was happy to see a complete game because the reason I was a little bit like Lakers 4th seed, third seed, kind of, because they wasn't finishing games in the beginning and things like that. But it was good to see them finish a complete game. So yeah, that's my take.
I feel like that. I honestly feel like the Lakers have been listening to the podcast because we've been very critical of the Lakers because of the talent that they have, and Mark Connor has not been playing. So,
well, I heard Mark Connor is no longer on the team.
I didn't know anything about that.
That's what I heard.
Oh, okay. Well, I would like to see him back, but I don't. Mark Connor has played real basketball in a bunch of different places, so he doesn't. I don't know if he likes the style of play that he's playing with. Nothing against the guys. He never takes anything personal, but Mark is not one to do anything that he doesn't agree with, and that's something I know about him. But Terrell Hendricks, 37 points, 9 rebounds, 2 steals, 1 turnover. That's player of the week esque to me. Ben Green with 22 points. Chris Green with 17. You have 4 guys in double figures for the Spurs.
Turnovers.
And they did not get the win. You had 2 guys in double figures for the Lakers, and that's Tone just getting 10, and then Terrell with 37. But outside of that, you had 5, 4, 8. Like everybody chipped in, and I'm proud of Dre Jr. for this game for being the point guard that this team needed. Um, he had to take the back seat and realize Terrell is gonna take the shot. Tone is gonna take shots. Those are guys that are gonna take shots. Tone still needs to take more shots. I'm sorry, like he has to take shots. If Tone Brooks is not being aggressive, he's not being his full self out there on the floor. He has to be, because we know what he can do. He's done some crazy stuff in this league, and he still can. But with Hendricks on your team, he can easily take the back seat because you got somebody being that aggressive. And he was jumping all over the place. Most of his missed shots was missed dunks, so and missed tip ins and stuff. Like he missed 3 threes, and then he missed 4 dunks. So basically, he almost went 100% from the field for any shot that he tried that wasn't a 3. You know what I mean? Like he was locked in. I was watching him play. He took all shots within the offense, didn't force anything, recognized his isolation situations, passed the ball on the break, ran on defense, on offense. He played both ends. I think Terrell Hendricks did a really, really good job this game. I was really happy with the game he had, especially for this Lakers team against the Spurs team. He took advantage completely. And that's pretty much all I got. Lakers doing a good job closing games now. Spurs played well this game too. Just less turnovers. They're fine. Spurs are still a team to beat.
Yeah.
We'll go to the next game. This game was amazing. This was an amazing game. I personally love the way that the Bulls played in this game, but the Nets, man, this is their highest scoring game of the season. They have low scoring games, and I in my take, I had the Nets winning, but I said the Bulls are easily can beat them because they score so many points. They scored 84 points against this Nets defense, but the Nets just went nuts. Like, man, the score was 89-84. First half was 47-45. The Nets were up. The second half, you had the Nets winning 42-39. The Bulls kind of slowed it down. Nets slowed it down too, but still had a high scoring second half. Benny Munoz was shooting the leather off the ball, 7 for 12 from the field, 5 for 8 from 3, 5 for 5 from the free throw line, 24 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist and a steal. Bobby Griffin-Kopic, 5 for 11. Couldn't find his 3-ball, 1 for 5 from 3, but he had 12 points. They didn't rebound the ball as well as I'm used to them rebounding the ball. They only had 12 rebounds, but Steph Johnson had an amazing game. 18 points on 7 for 7 shooting, 2 for 2 from 3, and 2 for 3 from the free throw line, but only had 5 rebounds. Used to him getting into 12 and 13. But the Nets, none of them had over 6 rebounds. 3, 2, 4, 4, 2, 4, 3, 6. Like they all crashed the bounds. Like everybody crashed the bounds. And that's one thing about this Nets team that's so underrated. They can stick into a game plan no matter who they're playing, and they'll be able to play specific roles within that game plan to allow them to be great. And that's what makes this Nets team so dangerous because they're not a big team. They are strong, they are aggressive, and they're gritty. They play defense. They run solid sets, and they have players to swap out and fit their system. Like when Sammy left, you got Dennis. When Dutt couldn't play, they got Jameer. So like that's what Chills has said on the podcast when he came in, I believe, for week 5. But yeah, baby got something to say, y'all. But
are you here? My fault.
Yeah, no, you're all good. This is a family podcast, y'all. If y'all hear kids, they here with us. But yeah, I Martavius Lassa, another player of the week candidate, 32 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. This was just a high scoring game, and I think the Nets just played a lot better. Dennis Coger getting back into the lineup, had 6 assists and 15 points when he's coming back, and 6 steals as well. So he picked back up where he left off on the defensive end. And that allowed them to get back in this game, especially late in game. Nick Crow did a pretty good job, 19 points, 7 assists for Nick Crow. That is different. That is something I'm not used to seeing from Nick Crow. Not something I'm used to seeing at all. I'm not used to seeing him get 3. He got 7. So that's big for the Bulls if he's kicking it out to those shooters and sticking to that game plan and locking into the game. So I think the Bulls are still a team to beat. Like all of these teams are good. Somebody just has to lose. How do you feel about it?
Man, the Bulls scary, man. Like
they are, aren't they?
Like, and again, like I feel like just 2 more threes. Score was what, 84, 89, 2 more threes.
It was 84, 89. It was a 5-point game.
Yeah, 2 more threes, they win. And like I mean, and then they had Hurd
They did
off
not have
his
her.
back yesterday, which is a big part of their team also. I mean, the Mets made enough plays to get through what they needed to get through.
You see what I'm
And they
highlighting?
yeah, I see it. Yeah, turnovers do kill, man. And 15 turnovers, either 15 turnovers in a league like this with a 20-minute running clock. Yeah, you probably ain't going to, you can still win, but the
It's
numbers
hard.
go down for the probability. But like the Bulls shoot the ball so well that, you know, even having 15 turnovers, they still lose by 5. So
That's
like,
crazy to me.
so I mean, they scary. They are. I mean, I feel like Bobby gonna get it together. But also like it's only one ball, so it's like when Benny's on, they want to keep going back to Benny. So it's like, or when Miguel is on, sometimes when Nick is on. So it's like, you know, it's just bringing everything together, being balanced as a team. So I mean, they'll get it together, and then the Nets they'll get they're gonna continue to be who they are, no matter what. Muck came up big at the end,
Yes, he
definitely.
did.
He had some big shots at the end that really solidified the win. He hit a big three in the corner that was like a knockout punch, uh, for them. So I mean to me the hero of this game was Jameer, because
Jameer Hines,
the threes that he hit
huge.
were big threes, and were heavily contested too. Um, so I mean, each team has all the pieces to do some damage, you know. So like I said, it's gonna be a crazy playoff.
It's definitely gonna be a crazy playoff. The way it's gonna match up is gonna be ridiculous. Nobody wants to see the Bulls in the first round. I don't think anybody wants to see the Lakers in the first round. Like, I mean, let's just talk low seeds. I don't think any team wants to see the Grizzlies or the Bulls, or even
Yeah.
or even the Spurs. Like, they're not a low seed, but you know, if they fall out of the top 4, you want to see them at 5.
Right.
You know, you definitely don't. So, um, all right, we'll move on to the last game, which will be the Sixers versus the Magic. And I was dead wrong about my prediction for this one. It's not much to talk about at all. Sixers only scored 17 points in the first half and 20 in the second half. You can't win a game scoring 37 points.
Okay.
Terrell Hendricks scored 37 himself this week. I don't think you can win a game with that. They played a zone against them, forced them to shoot. The only person that could make shots was Trey Speed, at a high clip. And he finally had a good game when everybody else couldn't get one. Jordan Winfield was nowhere to be found this game. Would like to see him get more shots going. Jonathan Townsend didn't have such a good game. Didn't make what he wanted to, 2 for 11. Miles Bergens was 5 for 15, still ended up with 18 points. But outside of that, I mean, Trey Speed was their second leading scorer. They only had 6 guys. Really didn't do what it is they needed to do. And then Casey Garrison was on the bench for most of this game. Yeah, Edgar Townsend was shooting the ball very well, 4 for 8 from 3. Marcus Pope was 9 for 14 from the field with 21 points and 16 rebounds. I played with him at an open run. I like his game a lot. He if he gets on the right team with somebody that can just score when they want to, like when Billy was there, I see the Magic winning a lot of games. You know, with somebody like Marcus Pope on your team that's going to rebound and put it in the basket. But I don't have much to say. The only thing I have to say is I'm tired of TJ Wicks taking jumpers. TJ, if you're listening to this, you can talk to me about it. I'm tired of you taking jump shots. Like, I know y'all won this game by a lot, but dude, I'm like seeing what you can do on the floor and seeing what you settle for makes all people under 6 feet pissed off. Like, it just pisses all people under 6 feet off. So if you want to make us mad, keep shooting jumpers, man. Like, especially when they're unforced and the person guarding you can't guard you. Try to get that ball in the basket, get some free throws. He shot the free throw. He was 3 for 4 from the free throw line, which was good. He was 2 for 8 from 3, 2 for 12 total. TJ has to have a better game because they blew a team out by almost 30, but only scored 62 points. That's not gonna fly. But that's all I got for this game. Good win for the Magic. great zone that they ran, forcing the Sixers to shoot and good job rebounding the ball.
Yeah, I agree. Sixers, man, they beginning to get in that Thunder mindset. And it's beginning to be kind of like, are they wanting to get better, or are they content with just being who they are? And that's just something the captain, the coach, gotta bring them together, man. If they have any desire to want to be successful in these next coming games and the playoff. The Magic, I mean, they hit a lot of shots. They did. Like you said, TJ need to produce more. Like, I mean, 6'7", got 3 rebounds. Like, that can't happen. No, how tall is he? 6'9",
He's
6'8"?
about 6'9".
So, like, you got 3 rebounds, man. Like, we need more than that. But I mean, they came in, they hit shots, they played defense, and they came out with the win. So, I mean, I definitely wasn't expecting a 30-point win, but that's what they did. So that's my take.
All right. And that wraps it up for our recap for week 8, guys. See you for the recap for week 9.